Hey, welcome. I thought I wouldn't bore you with what I've done so far here. So basically is I've mounted this board that I made yesterday onto the back of my fridge cage. Now that was quite a task. I had to practically dismantle the fridge cage so I could gain access to the nuts and bolts on the other side, and I've done that now. And as you can see, she's really sturdy. The actual mount that the DC hub's going to go into, that's gone on here. So basically all I've did is I used a screw stud on the other side, just hammered in and put some couple of screws in, and then there's 2 screws on the bottom. This is the Redarc DCDC hub, so I decided to use that one mounted right here. So I've got 2 screws in there. I need another 2. And then these cables are going to run up like so, and they will mount up here. So I could probably cut these a bit shorter soon, so they won't need that to be that long. But right now what I've left to mount is I've got my Victron 100 volt 50 amp MPPT solar regulator. So that will go round about here. I think that'll be a good spot. Find the approximate spot where you want to mount this. And we're going to put 1 screw right here. So this has got a clutch on it. You can adjust the tension. That'll do. We'll put that a bit tighter later. Now we'll work the one on this side here, or we might actually put one on the bottom here. And last one over here. So it's good. This one needs to be a bit tighter. So of course this here is now going to connect in on one of the points underneath here. So I won't need the Anderson plug. And that's the beauty with this setup, is the fact that I can eliminate all these connections. We'll just make up an extra lead on this one later, and just a tad longer, because I want to leave this space here free to run these power leads down here for your LED lights and so on, and then I should be able to hide them in behind here somewhere. If I get right into it, I might finish it today, but I think what I'll do is just take me time, put everything in its place, and then the wiring, I could probably do a little bit of that later this afternoon, or I might leave it till tomorrow, because it's already afternoon here, guys. So it took me a while to actually deal with this, get that mounted in place. Isn't that going to get in the way of someone's head? Probably will. I don't know, we'll have to see. But it's pretty rare I ever get passengers in the back here, and quite often at times I actually do remove these seats when I go away camping to get that more extra room. It's still probably not the ideal, but it's the best I can come up with, and it'll serve another purpose, where I've always have a problem when I store something up in there, it tends to fly back forward here. So now this is going to enclose whatever I store in there, and eventually I'll have like a little cage. I'll extend it up here, same on the other side. Well, on the other side, on this side here, I'm going to have another board run across here, and that's where the ARB twin compressor is going to be mounted onto that. And then what I'll do then, obviously I won't have this room down the side here where I've got my folding solar blanket, so then that will be stored up here, so I can slide that in there. And because it's fully enclosed in, it's not going to slide forward, it's not going to slide sideways and so on. So it'll only have the opening which at the back, and of course that rear door will be closed. So that'll be a lot safer for it that way. So that's the plans. I'm quite happy how it's coming together. I think it looks really good. And we're going to start mounting the DC hub into into its cradle here. But let's just finish mounting these. I've got 2 more screws that need to go in here. So again, this is the Redarc DCDC hub. So eventually this is going to be replaced with either the 40 or the 50. That's sturdy, it's not going to go anywhere. So now, finally, we get to mount this little fella. This here, I'm looking forward to this. So we've got quite a few screws here. So these, I'm very familiar with these because I used to build a lot of custom built computer systems, and I still do at times. But that was my job as a computer tech, building custom systems from scratch. So many hundreds of these boards I've actually connected in these. Now something I forgot to grab a screwdriver, so I'm going to go get that shortly. I'll just find the correct, so these look like the correct screws. So yes, they got a Phillips head. So I'll just go grab my screwdriver, and then hopefully we should have everything that we need then. There's no way I'm going to use this to mount those boards in. You'll never want to use a power tool, guys. You always want to screw them in by hand. So I can see the screwdrivers right there behind you, the camera. Can you grab it for me, please? If only. Not the old Phillips head screwdriver that we used to use when we were on the farm. It's probably almost as old as me, this one. Bit of a family heirloom. My dad used to own it. So it's very special. Bring back a lot of memories. And it's the one I used a lot when I was building all the computer systems. Let's hope it's not too big. It's perfect size. Excellent. So now, what we'll do, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got 10 screws. You're wondering, a little board like this, why would you have as many as 10 screws? Well, you want that pressure even, so that way when you're pushing the plugs, the fuses in and out, particularly these big fuses that you see here, I'm actually holding it upside down, particularly those big fuses, you don't want the board to flex, okay, because then otherwise that's when you can start to crack the solder, etc. So you need to be very careful with that. So right now, I'm just going to do is hold that screw in place and see if I can get myself comfortable. And it's a bit lacking on the light here, so just line this up. Once we get the first one in, we'll be right. So don't over tighten it at this stage. Just have it so it's just barely touching and just loosen off a tad. So you can see there how that's moving freely. So we'll grab another screw, and this time we'll put it on the other side. This is how I've always mounted the boards. Tighten up, tad, little bit loosen. So we've got 10 of these to install, guys. Let's just go on this side to the left, try not to lose any of these screws. I don't know if they've got any spare. These are quite small. Oops. Alright, just drop one down here. Luckily it went in the channel here. There it is. Gotcha. So just very carefully this time. It is magnetic, this screwdriver. Now I could have mounted this a lot easier if it was on the bench. before I mounted it onto the back of the fridge cage here. So I didn't want to risk damaging this in any way, because I was going to do a few drills and putting screws in, etc. So I didn't want to take a risk, because these are not cheap, these DC hubs. Yeah, so you can see there why I keep them loose, because I had to move the board just a tad to get that one in. So we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4 to go, guys. Bit of a tedious job, but it's really important that you make sure you mount all these in. And oh boy, guys, I can't tell you how hot it is today. We had a nice bit of shower rain before, and the humidity, whew, she's a shocker. I can't wait for the cooler weather. Can't wait to start putting the jumper on, snuggle up in some warm gear. Hang on, need to get myself comfortable. Oh, okay, another one that's just gone over here in the corner. There we go. Luckily it's easy to grab because they're magnetic, although it's tricky when the screws are so small like this, because the magnets don't work as strong on them. Okay, so I've already got 2 left, and then we'll just go through and tighten them down. Not too tight, because it's just don't need to be too tight. Oh, so hot. I just got sweat just dripping down me. It's amazing how much hotter it is this afternoon. So after we screw this in, that may do for today. There's no point, I don't need to get this done in a hurry, so there's no point in putting up with this severe temperature in here. In fact, the heat's getting to me a bit, guys. It's been hot all day, but it's particularly bad right now. Alright, lucky last. There we are. We didn't manage to lose any of these small screws. So let's go through and go crisscross and tighten these up. So that's solid now. That's good. That's not going to go anywhere. So I'm just going through and just checking to make sure these are all evenly tight. Remember yesterday I actually mentioned that I had to increase the length of the 12 volt cable that goes from the starter battery, the one that used to go to my DC-DC charger here, because it used to be mounted over this direction over here. Okay, so it needs an extra meter to reach over here, but it's not going to be mounted on here now, so it's going to be mounted through this point here. So this is where the 12 volt battery, starter battery, gets mounted in here. So, and then what we'll do now is we're going to, once we put this together, this will be routed in through up here like so, and they'll be screwed in there. This one, which is now, definitely it's too short now because it's got to go in that one, so I'll need to increase the length of this one. It's got to go in there. The battery, a deep cycle battery, then connects into this big one here. I think we're going to leave that till tomorrow morning when it's, sorry you can't see me, which is when it's a bit cooler. Because, yeah, it's too hot now guys, sorry. I can't continue the build right now. But when this is finished, this Perspex cover, which is clear but it's just got some film over it to protect it, that will be screwed in place like so, and it's going to kind of look like that. So, and it's going to be very visible to see when a fuse blows. So I'm going to grab the camera now, and I want to point something else. There was someone who can't remember your name, but someone asked a question in regards to the fuse on this. These are all for the fuses. So every individual component here has all got fuses. So if one component blows or something is wrong, that fuse is going to blow. So what that means is that when a fuse blows, these red lights will light. So if you come here and see there's a red light on, that means that that particular fuse is blown. So these are not going to stay on red all the time. It's only they come on red when a fuse blows. There's one more thing. I might connect the Anderson plugs. I've got a couple of Anderson plugs. So what we might do now is increase the length of the cable that runs from the car battery through to the DC hub. So that's ready for tomorrow morning. So we'll do that now and might show you how that's done. So let's add one of these Anderson plugs in. So we're going to solder this one. What we need to do now is to work out how much of this we're going to strip off, and very carefully and slowly cut in around. So you probably cut about halfway through the outside without stripping any of the thread. So it doesn't have to be done real quick in a hurry, just take your time, do the job properly. And that's it. Let's give it a twist. So that's what we end up with. We put that in like so. That's not a bad fit. So we're going to do the same with the negative now as what we did with the positive. After you've done this so many times, you get a knack at doing this. So now that's ready to solder. Now another thing when you solder these is you have to make sure you got these oriented the right way, because these Anderson plugs have got a lip on them. See there, it's got that lip. So that hooks up on the inside of one of these. Okay, see that metal tab on the inside there? So it actually hooks on that metal tab. So you want to make sure that when you fit it in, when you mount these, they're facing the right way. So that's the plus, that's the minus. So we've got to have the positive on the right hand side, and that lip, it's got to be facing downwards. I'm going to use a blowtorch. That's the finished product. So that's going to be it for today. So this will be part number 4. So I've still got the other Anderson plug to put onto the other cable, so we'll do that in the morning. It's just a bit too hot right now, so it's It's amazing how the temperature's changed in the past hour. So I'm going to get out of this shed and have a bit of a break and go get a cold drink. So catch yous all tomorrow, eh? Till then, cheers.